Oh, now it records. Alright, we can make a watch band texture with my useful nodes 2.8. I'm going to start out with material container. Let's throw it in here. I already had these set up from a different material I had set earlier. Throw the vector in here. Connect these tiles so I can control everything. I'm going to shift D and bring another one over here. Displace goes into displacement input, and then this vector goes out here. And then I can connect color, displacement can go into the heights. I'm not going to have a normal. Let's throw a roughness in there. Alright, so if I go in here, I'm going to throw a tile vector in here first. That's why all these were here, is because I had these set up before for another material. So if I go to, I'm going to throw, we could do a couple of these, a simple shape vector. Throw that color out to displace, and you get this shape here. And then you can control the peak with this. It gives it like a nice flat. So I probably use something like that. So we can throw a color RGB curve, output that to both of those. And if I give it a curve like that, it will give it like a nice bevel. So it gives it a softer, rounder look. I don't know if having all these points is the way to go. I just want to get like a nice solid curve. So I'll have to adjust the peak to get the sharpness out of it. But for a metal band, that would be cool for a link. So what I'm thinking is, we've made one basic shape. So I can select these two and copy them. And then I'm going to connect it again. And I'm going to throw in I think we're going to go with converter, throw in a math node and add. And we'll snap both those in. And then I'm going to go vector mapping. And I'm going to scale this by 0.5. So it'll be narrow on 1. Hold on, real quick, I'm going to throw this on here and make sure that's... did I not? One. Oh, there it goes. Oh, I need to go to 2. Alright, 1, 2. So that's about half the width. So that's the idea there. So I'm gonna throw the same thing on here and connect this mix back. And now if I have put little movers on this one, so I'm gonna move it at 0.5, so it's halfway offset. And then I'm going to move that 0.5, -1, okay. So then we'll get a staggered effect. We're going to need another one of these so we can fill out this pattern here. We're going to get like a tile effect. but I think for a watch it'll look really cool for links. So let's snap another one in, and we're going to add another one here. And then it was at -1, so we're probably going to go to +1. Maybe. Oh wait, I didn't go to +1. I don't know why it's doing that. Oh, I'm not even, sorry, I barely slept. 1, 2, offset, oh, I should be going 1, 2, move my offset here. And then we get like a tile effect. So that works out for that. If I hit, go back to the group input and go back, that's creating the material on both sides. So now I had a tile vector that I attached to all this, so I could bump this up to like 5. And it should tile everything. Oh, you gotta attach these over here too, because they're the same thing. Yeah, anything you do to one, you need to do the other. That's why I do a lot of stuff inside the container, because all these outside controls have to be linked to both. And then you get this tile effect. So, you know, it'll tile however many times I tell it to. You can, like, crank it way up or find whatever level you're happy with. But this creates like a brick wall effect, but we're not doing that. We're just kind of creating a link. We have our roughness connected, so let's connect the roughness, and we're going to throw a color ramp. Did it throw a color ramp somewhere? Converter, color ramp. And the white values are making it really rough. So if I turn this down, roughness, and we're going to turn the metallic. I guess it's all metallic. And then we'll just play with this roughness value because it's a mere finish right now. So for a watch band, I think that could look pretty cool for a metallic-y look. You could bump out the spacing a little bit. Say, if you wanted to have a little gap in between, so you do something like that. Bump that one up too. And I only need to move one of these. Oops. Maybe 0.550. So you could have an effect like that. You could even, since you have that link look, this is also running through a parallax shader, so it looks three-dimensional. I'll play around with these shininess levels. I don't know. And then you could even create, say you want to create like an alpha so you can see through it. I like to use a math node. I'm just going to pull off of this one here and use you use a less than or greater than value and set it down to like 0.1. Let's connect that. Tell that that's an alpha. And I'm gonna slap this alpha up here. Oops, sorry. So you can see, yeah. So it's gonna alpha out the black spots. It's what's cool is it's three-dimensional too. So you're not gonna, when you're at a grazing angle, you're not gonna see right through it real easily. So then I use these emission shaders to see what's happening sometimes if things get confusing. We can throw a shader in, a mix shader, and then throw in a transparent shader and slap this alpha on there. I might need to flip them. And I'm in Eevee. Getting it to go transparent is a pain, but if I switch to cycles, you can see it's three-dimensional and you can see right through it. So that's pretty cool. There's a 1. I had called this doors before, but I'll call it metallic band. And then we're going to copy all that, Control C. Let's, I had one that used to be called bricks. We'll call this like a cloth band, I think. Maybe we'll try that next. And let's just paste this back in here. G, you can move it. Alright, that's good. I don't know if I'm going to use a mix shader, so let's just get these out of here for the moment. Throw this one back on. So same idea. I'm going to start out, I probably don't need to get rid of all this stuff. We'll start out with a round shape. I'm going to turn the tile down to like 3. So I can see the tile, but it's not too much. Add group shape round. You have some options there. You could use like octagons or whatever you want. I'm going to throw this on there temporarily. Already I'm getting something kind of weird, but it's kind of neat. You could almost do like a woven look. I'm thinking we'll probably bump this up to like 3 just to get it small enough that we can work with. This isn't going to be metallic when we're done, but hey, we can see it pretty well, so we'll leave it the way it is right now. Alright, let's get it in our little tile. This tile vector, these shapes don't tile. Tile vector tiles the vector, so anything tiles that way, which is cool because then we can create cool patterns like this. So I'm going to make this thinner and say rotate it 45 degrees. Oh, it don't work like that, does it? Okay, well, that's why I don't like the mapping node. That's why I made my own. I don't use as much because it's more complicated. I'm going to set all these back to 0 because this will do everything. Alright. And I can just imagine. This one's nice because my transform uniform works from the center. But then I can scale just one angle and then rotating doesn't seem to be working. Set these all back up. That is strange. That's kind of neat, but that wasn't what I was going for. Oops, 45 degrees. Oh, these are like one of those happy accidents. You could get some cool shapes with this. I had something there. Oh, that. I really weirdly like that. Well, I thought I could just use a circle shape, but apparently the way my nodes are set up, that doesn't allow that to happen. I'll bring this down. You can do some really cool stuff with these shape nodes. Just a simple curve, because it's gradient, gets you all kinds of shapes. So every time you throw a little bit in here, you get all that. It's creating that shape over the bell, which normally is cool. It's not quite doing what I want it to do here, but I can turn this peak down. I don't know why it's getting a flat on top. You get some cool effects with this. But anyway, I guess a lot of times you have to play around with these. I was thinking for that weave effect you could create a circle with kind of like a V, like a chevron pattern. But what I got was kind of neat. Oops. Well, I'll leave that for an option. You could play around with this design, and I don't need this other garbage. Do, however, need this to control the roughness. Here's another place where you can play with things like this. The way I had used this before, I used like a greater than. So if I set that to say, 0.8, then the value that it's coming out is coming out 1 for anything anything greater than 0.8 is coming out 1, so that's coming out flat. Anything else is coming out 0, so that is really shiny. If I flip that to less than, then it'll be the other way around. And what's cool with that, so I snap this back in here then, so I can control all that. So I want that, say I want that a little shiny, and then I want this really shiny. It's not exactly a perfect tiling pattern, but I think from a distance it looks pretty cool. And I guess again you could do the same thing. Do less than 0.1, slap that on the alpha. We'll add a shader, mix shader, transparent, shaders, transparent, and then alpha. I switch this over to cycles. And then the cool thing here is I can adjust this, so I can adjust how much of it's transparent. Is this not? Oh, I put translucent. That's not gonna work. Shader, transparent. There we go. And if I turn that down to like 1, then I just get that little black spot in between And I mean, from super close up, you can see flaws with this, but I mean, for a band from even a rendered shot, I don't know if you're gonna notice. So it's up to you. You could play with it more. Uh, the way I have it tiled also could affect it. You could play with the tiling effects and you know, try to center everything real quick. But I'm trying not to waste any time on this. Alright, let's create one more, because I have another material. I should actually call that beaded band. Alright, I had a Windows material, where is that? Oops. Okay, stop. Okay. So let's try something else. I think what I should have done in the first place, I'm going to leave all this here. We'll leave the shape. Turn that back down to 1. Set these all to 0. Alright. Oops. Tiling. That should be right. Oop. No rotation. Why am I getting a tile effect? Or it's scaling sideways. It's the curve. Oh, that's why I was getting peak. Okay. This still at a peak anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Alright, so we're going to do, say, scale it down, maybe 4. Let's get 2 of these. Oops. Add converter, math. Alright, the other one we're going to offset enough to leave a gap. Oh, but it needs to be in frame. And then let's add a shape of a cube and we'll intersect that. Groups, shape, cube. Oops. Another fun one to do is minimum or maximum, because it makes them intersect, so you get cool blends. See, or it subtracts the circle from that shape, so you get like really weird stuff. We'll set it to minimum. Oh, there it goes. And we'll play with the peak. And this range makes it deeper. I narrowed that down. So I'm going to bump this one a little wider so it creates a solid band all the way across. Alrighty. I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. So here's my basic pattern. I want to copy that. And hope the mapping node doesn't mess me up. I have my basic pattern. If I offset this, the X, my tiling's becoming a problem. Gonna have to go 0.250. For this one, I need to get another shape round. fix that pattern. Oh, you know, it'd be a lot smarter if I was doing this in Eevee because I could see it live without all these issues. So I just need to complete that pattern. That's actually pretty cool. I could keep copying this over to fill in the gap, or I could take the whole thing and scale it up, which I think I'll probably do that because who needs all that other work? We're gonna create. I'm just gonna put a fresh mapping node that doesn't have a bunch of values in it already. So that controls everything. Probably gonna have to put one more layer to complete this pattern in here. Alright, so we'll put one more layer. This one would be the same pattern we want right there. So that is all this. So if I just copy that, oop, I don't need that. Shift D, snap this value down here, if it lets me. I don't use that lasso tool because it gets kind of funky with all my custom stuff. I mean, you can, but I don't like snapping back and forth to get everything to work. Alright, so then we just need one more add these two, snap them in there. Move this one back up. And then I'll have to play with the scale. Well, that's pretty good. So let's try 0.6 on here. That's pretty good. So now we have a tiling pattern that looks pretty neat. This isn't going to be metallic in the end. We could probably crank this one up pretty high because it's going to look more woven. You get it real small, and it gets to the point where you really can't tell. It's not going to be metallic. If I jump back in here, oh well. First things first, I should probably turn metallic off. And then if I jump in here, I can turn the roughness. We'll turn all those up higher. We're probably not going to need this less than. The alpha won't really do anything. But, oh, I already disconnected that. That's good. Alright, so then we can play with our color. And this is all about your taste and how you want it to look. So you'll have to play around with that and figure out what color you want. And then play with your shininess. Probably turn it way down. On these very small ones, you could probably turn the parallax multiplier down. It doesn't really matter, it's not hurting it. It's very small, you don't really notice the effect when it's cranked up like that. And then you can even adjust the focus. I guess something like that, you get a pretty deep effect. You could probably play with like the sheen if you wanted to get something like that. I never really play with that. I don't work with cloth so much, but it all should work the same. I don't know, but that's the general concept. We'll call that one cloth.